Hey, vacation dreamers, welcome to Book Solid, the podcast where two travel advisors share insider tips, talk about our favorite destinations, bucket list experiences, and everything you need to know to make your next vacation unforgettable. We'll break down what's included, what to watch out for, and keep it real with plenty of laughs along the way, while we help you plan with confidence. Let's jump in.
All right, hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. Today we are talking about something very exciting. Disney is finally releasing the remaining itineraries for 2026 into May of 2027. They're finally here. We have some very exciting things to talk about today, so let's do this.
I wore my Castaway Key shirt, if
I
you're
love
watching.
it.
I had to change because, again, not planned on this today.
Right?
Um, so we are recording this on Tuesday when the actual cruises were announced.
Mhm.
Um, and then you all will hear it on Friday. So if we're talking in the past or in the present, now you know why. Um, so like Brianna said, cruise itineraries were dropped this morning. And starting next week, depending on your Castaway Key club, not Castaway Key, Castaway Club level is when you can book those vacations. So Pearl members can book on August 25th, Platinum the 26th, Gold the 27th, Silver and DVC members August 28th. And then if you are a first-time cruiser or general public, it will open to everybody else on September 2nd.
In case people have never sailed Disney Cruise Line before, these like different tiers are how many times you've sailed. So obviously Pearl is like top tier. I think you have to sail at least 10 times with Disney Cruise Line, I think, or I think it's more something like that. It's a lot of cruises with Disney Cruise Line.
Cruises.
Once you sail once with Disney Cruise Line, you are put into the silver tier. So if you've sailed at least once, you can, like Amanda said, you can start booking on the 28th. But if you have never sailed, then, or yeah, if you've never sailed, it's the second. Sorry, Brian.
Yep, you got it. I'm trying to remember in the past. I feel like there was a few more days in between that it wasn't just like boom, boom, boom. So I don't know if that's because these have felt very delayed. Now, whether they were planned all along for Disney to do it, to make us wait so long for these,
That's
because
a whole can of
usually
worms.
it's been earlier.
Because I remember someone posted that usually when they're dropping the remainder of the 2026 itineraries, it's usually, end of June into July, and here we are towards the end of August, and they're
Okay. Yep.
just now dropping them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of people have been waiting for them. I've
Mm-hmm.
had a lot of comments on my TikToks about it. Like, and I'm like, I feel you. You're not the only one.
Yeah, and Disney is one of the last ones to drop these 2026 itinerary, like remaining, I should say. I think it's like September to December that they haven't dropped
Yep.
yet. But it's definitely interesting that they're one of the very last cruise lines to drop these itineraries.
And I think from what I was reading today, I think some people were sad New York didn't come back. Um, Sad that Galveston we aren't seeing a little more or a different ship.
I was going to talk about
Is
that.
that you?
We could talk about that later. That's for like we'll talk about it today, but we could talk about it later. Let's get into the
So I do there I think there was some surprises or like letdowns a little bit. Um, I will say there's no Alaska cruises yet, so I could see those coming out later, and those usually start in May,
yeah.
from past, but so we don't have any of those yet. So those I'm guessing are still coming and will eventually release. So if you're looking for Alaska, but otherwise they're the Bahamian, the Caribbean, um, Mexico, and then there's a Pacific coast where it goes from San Diego up to Vancouver. And then there's a three like transatlantic crossing ones. And of course, we have our Singapore with the adventure.
I did see the very coveted Panama Canal cruise, and it's 2 weeks. 2 week cruise. Starts in Galveston, ends in San Diego, and it's the Panama Canal. So,
Is that the magic going?
I just had it. Let me see
Look
if
it
it's
up.
still here.
I've got the papers,
Um, yeah, it's the Magic.
the magic, because I knew the magic was in Galveston.
To be truthfully honest, for a 2 week cruise, and this is just for two adults, inside stateroom, 5,500 for 2 weeks. I
Terrible.
think that is an amazing deal.
Hmm.
Especially since you're not going, I mean, obviously you'll go to like Mexico and stuff, but that's a steal. And I have a feeling that cruise, I'm hoping it makes it to the general public. I feel like that because it's a one-off
One off.
cruise, it is going to book very fast. And I'm hoping it at least reaches the general public by September 2nd so that anyone else who is possibly interested in the Panama Canal has at least a fighting chance because like I said, it is a one-off cruise that
Right.
there's no carbon copies of it. And it's at the end of April into May.
Into my okay. And that's
Okay.
kind of like a value season anyways, where cruises are a little cheaper.
Yep.
So that makes sense why they would trek that during that time too. Um, do you want to start talking a little bit about why it's important to book early, like why we
Yes.
have been waiting, why we keep harping on it that it's important to book these as soon as they're released.
Yes. So, as we know, as of a couple months ago, Disney released that they've lowered their deposit amount from 20% of your total cruise fare, whatever it is, to 10%. And this was for a long time just kind of like a promotion that they use, but this is now the standard. Every single cruise you book, no matter the dates, itinerary, what have you, you only have to pay 10% of the cruise fare at time of booking. And then obviously depending on your sail length, it'll vary, your final date. But the reason why we keep harping on why it's so important to book early is because of pricing, as well as availability of the staterooms. Like if you have a very specific location that you want to stay on the ship, whether it's closer to the kids club or you want to be midship on deck six or like whatever you need to book as soon as possible. So honestly, because they're getting ready to drop the remainder of 2026 into 2027, that's a mouthful. You need to book now because the longer you wait, you're going to one forfeit the price increasing because obviously there is, I mean, people are going to book them. Like it's going to happen. And I mean, the prices can only go up. Disney Cruise Line and really cruise industry in general, prices usually don't go down, like ever. Sometimes they'll roll out promotions, but then you're kind of left with whatever staterooms are left over. And not that you're going to get a bad, bad stateroom. It just may not be the one that you wanted the most, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So we talk about it all the time. And we're not just saying, because we want you to book with us or, whatever. We are truly trying to help you save hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. The reason why we want you to book now is like even if something comes up and you have to cancel, that deposit that you put down is fully refundable as long as you're within, your final payment. If you're in your final payment, then no, it's not refundable at that point. Um, so it's very important that you book as soon as possible, as soon as possible.
And I mean, like you said, the rooms,
Mhm.
finding if you are traveling with other people, so having a room that's close together. If you need a connecting room, maybe you have a bigger family or you are traveling with grandma and grandpa and you want a connecting room, booking early is going to guarantee you the best options. Um, like you said, the midship tends to sell out the fastest. So that, and then I was thinking too, I was looking at the prices for now, and I'm thinking, I'm assuming, guessing, I haven't fully tracked it in years past. This will be my like first year fully tracking it. That the prices we see now, even by the time your date opens, those might go up. I'm
Yeah.
assuming just because it is supply and demand. So if you have four levels above you, that
We're already
55,
dedicated to
right.
cruise line people who are going without a doubt to book a cruise. So that already there's your supply and demand.
Mhm.
They're obviously going to cruise again, clearly.
That 5,500 Panama Canal that you're looking at now might be closer to 6,500, even by the time you decide it opens up to you or you decide to book.
Hmm.
Um, so I was looking at them too, kind of thinking that too. I was like, these are great prices. However, they may not be that way even when my time opens up. I would say the other reason to book early is if you want that early dining,
That too.
because that with little kiddos, that fills up go fast. Um, but I will say it's not for everybody.
Hmm.
I've ran into families commenting on my videos saying, we didn't like it because of XYZ. And I was like, that's great. It isn't for everybody, and you're right. You got to know your family.
Hmm.
My family could not do the late dining again if we tried. And we have older kids, like they were 8 and 9. No, 8 and 11.
Hmm.
My 8-year-old couldn't do it. He was
Hmm.
like, mm-mm.
Right.
Because we eat early anyways. That's like just how we are. So,
Sure.
but if that early dining is important, then booking early is a must.
Yep. Yeah, because like you said, they're the ones that book the quickest. And this is really for any cruise line. This is just something that is standard across all cruise lines. It's not just Disney. Because if you think about it, I mean, if you have kids, they're eating at 5, 6 o'clock. And obviously some families are different, they eat later. But usually a lot of families are eating at that time to get their kids ready for bed at 7, 8 o'clock or whatever.
Yep.
So those are always, always. I had someone who booked a cruise kind of the last minute. They sail in November and the 5 o'clock slot was already booked, obviously.
And you can get put on a waiting list. It's not guaranteed. You can also try to talk with guest services when you get on board,
Mhm.
and potentially they could move you.
Yeah.
Um, so there are options, but they're not guaranteed options.
Disney's really good about like if you have a request that's within reason, like not insane, they're really good about at least trying their best to make it happen. And at least if you're sailing on a cruise that's not like fully booked, but it's decently, busy, they might be able to squeeze you in at that 5 o'clock time. If you're on a fully booked ship, then no, they're probably not going to be able to do it because there's so many people on the ship who may want to do the same thing. And obviously that's not possible. Expansion in terms of all the ships. We're about to have the Destiny start sailing. And or am I wait,
Treasure.
yes. Yes. And the treasure, yes.
The
So
treasure.
see, there's so many ships already and but we have those two ships that are coming, and we're supposed to have by the end of what is it, 2031, we're supposed to have 13 ships total. And we're at how many now? Currently six or seven,
Two, three,
right?
four, 5, 6, 7, 8.
So two, so six currently, and then the Destiny and the Treasure make it eight.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So they keep hinting that more ships are coming. These are the only two that we know specific details. Like we know the theming, we know where they're sailing. Other than that, we do not know about these other, what is that? I can't do math. 7 ships, I think, or something like that. I can't do math right now. That's not,
Okay.
I think it's 5. Anywho,
Other ships.
at least 5, okay? I have a sinking suspicion that once they start to really finalize the middle, like summer itineraries for 2027 and figuring out where these new ships are coming, I can guarantee there's going to be a new ship that is announced next year in 2026 that will most likely come in 2027 because there's rumors, and again, this is rumors. I don't know if it's true, but either one of our bigger ships, we're talking the Wish, the Treasure. Yeah, no, I had it back. Wait. See, there's too many ships. Anywho, the bigger ships, okay?
Class,
Huh?
the Wish class,
Yeah, there you go.
the Wish,
Um,
Treasure, Destiny, and then I think there's that new one coming. That'll be the fourth.
there's talk that either one of the big ships or literally a brand new ship is the one that's going to be in Galveston permanently. So there's talk that once they do release that, it there will be a permanent ship in Galveston. Currently, you can only sail out of Galveston kind of like end of November up until May. So you'll be able to book Galveston cruises, but it is exclusive to, and I always forget which ships it is. I know it's the Magic. Is there another ship or am I crazy?
I think the Magic is the only one there, at
Wow.
least right now.
Which will be nice because the Magic is one of the original ships. It's very small. So it will be nice, especially for someone who does live in Texas, to have one of the larger ships not only just be in Texas, but be there permanently because Galveston is one of our ports for Disney Cruise Line that only sails about half of the year, and that's it. So the
Hmm.
Magic is one of the ships that literally goes everywhere. It does all the itineraries. So I imagine once that's released, once they kind of figure it out, we'll figure out how many ships or whatever is going to happen. And I think now that I brought up Galveston, I think that's why they haven't said anything yet about Alaska, because I think because of all the shuffling they're going to have to do, however they do it, I'm wondering what's going to happen with the Alaskan cruises. Are they going to have to shift some of the ships, or are they going to stick with the ones that they have currently, which is the Wonder? I think it's just the Wonder right now.
The Wonder, and I think the Magic went up there for a little bit
The magic
this
goes
year.
everywhere.
They do. The Magic is magical. Um,
That's my thinking.
all right, we got you on the record.
Mhm.
I did, as you mentioned it, I do remember them and somebody, I'm not honestly not sure who,
Mhm.
about the fourth Wish class coming that we don't know anything about.
We know nothing.
Um, and for big Disney fans, D23 convention is happening next week, next
Mhm.
weekend in Orlando.
Yes,
And
sir.
during that time, that convention, and they sometimes ping pong between Anaheim and Disney World, and the smaller one, like the mid D23, is usually in Orlando. Um, is when we always get a ton of announcements and pushes across all Disney
All Disney parks, everything,
parks,
everything Disney.
cruises. Yes, I was gonna say franchises, but that's not what I'm not the quite
Well,
I'm looking for. But
because they also talk about all the upcoming movies. So really franchises because it's literally everything Disney, everything.
intellectual properties. Anywho, um, and then I
Sorry.
think they will also announce like international like things coming to Paris and Tokyo and Hong Kong too.
Yep.
So during you will see Disney people, fans just glued. And so you'll see lots of announcements and people sharing a lot of info out of that. But so I wouldn't, I wonder, and I wonder if with these cruises and how late
they have announced them. Again, I can't decide if it was their intention the whole time because they have built this anticipation behind it now. I mean, honestly, it's probably from a marketing and a business standpoint going to be very effective for them
Hmm.
because they have built this now like anticipation of these cruises being released, and now the floodgates open next week, and then they end with D23.
So probably in about 2 weeks, we'll do a recap of everything. We'll do kind of like a little quick, what's that? Spark notes or whatever it's called.
Cliff notes.
Cliff notes. That's it. I
Cliff
see.
notes. Maybe we'll get on live and we can do that.
That's true.
That would be good. Um, Other things to look for with these cruises is you'll have specialty cruises such as Halloween on the High Seas in October, September, October, and then Very Merry Christmas cruises are also during this time. And then later on, we always get the announcement of any Marvel Day at Seas or Pixar Day at Seas, which usually happen January, Marchish,
Yeah.
at
Yep.
least for Marvel.
Yeah.
Are Pixar about the same?
Mm.
Or are they a little earlier? I couldn't remember.
Yeah, it's about that same time frame,
Okay.
which I mean makes sense because you kind of start the year with those two themed, ships,
Mhm.
and then at the end of the year you get your holiday themed cruises. But at least right now, those you can book as soon as possible.
Yeah. 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 And you can book it and then they'll add it. I mean, you don't pay any more to have that type of cruise.
Yep.
And I will, not all the cruises are those themed during that time. You kind of have to like guess, but we can always look at history and kind of see about what time and what ship. The
Mhm.
Dream usually gets Marvel Day at Sea, and then did the Fantasy get Pixar this time, I think?
That I can't remember. I can't remember. I
Uh,
want maybe.
so that's something, and they've already listed out the Halloween on the High Seas and the Very Merry Christmas cruises, so you know what those are when you book.
Marvel Day at Sea, and I'm only looking at 2026. Obviously, I can't really go in the past. So they have 10 different options for Marvel Day at Sea. You can either do a 4-night Western Caribbean cruise or a 5-night Western Caribbean cruise, and these are out of Galveston on the Magic. So
Mhm.
I'm very excited about that. It looks like towards the end of January. Yeah, like end of January into what would be that last one? I'm seeing like March. Yeah, like early March. So it's really pushing like a month and a half for the Marvel Day at Sea. For Pixar Day at Sea, this is exclusively a 5-night Bahamas cruise. You only have 8 options and they're out of Port Canaveral. Um, so I guess also the where you can kind of pick and choose is you can either do Disney's Lookout Cay at Lighthouse Point and Nassau, or do Disney's two private islands. Well, one's a private island, one's kind of owned by Disney. And that's a story for another day. You can do Lookout Cay and Castaway Key. So you kind of have, an option. It looks like obviously the two islands, excuse me, are going to be a little bit more expensive, which I mean makes sense. But those are going to be kind of like mid-January on the fantasy until I think about the same time frame. Yeah, like mid-March. So it looks like you have a little bit more wiggle room, but it's a 5-night cruise. So,
And I would say those, we did the Marvel on the Dream, and it was fun, like, and it was our first cruise, but it's a lot. It
hmm
is a lot, especially for your first cruise.
yeah.
And ours was the end of January. No, 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 no. Beginning of February. So here I was thinking, oh, it's like a a downtime, right? A lower, no, this cruise was full.
Oh, I can imagine.
And so, I mean, we had fun, don't get me wrong, but it was a lot.
Mhm.
And I kind of wish we hadn't done it on our first cruise.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think these like holiday, specially themed, I don't think are the best for first time cruisers. One, it's very overwhelming to get on a ship. You're completely out of your element. It's not something you're used to. I think it's definitely perfect for those that are cruising again, who already kind of have a lay of the land, cruising like the expectation, like all the things. I feel like like you said, as your first time cruise, it could be very overwhelming.
and if you want to do all the things, and so if it's your second cruise, you've already done a lot of the things already,
Yeah.
in theory, or at least experienced it in some point. Even if it's not the same ship,
Mhm.
you've at least kind of, like you said, have a lay of the land, kind of know how things work daily,
Mhm.
to where then adding in those special things and events and whatever experiences are easier. Because I'm like, I feel like I'm gonna miss out, and I wanted to do all the things, and all my boys wanted to do was play in the pool. And I was like, but we have to see the characters. I didn't pay $5,000 for you to sit a pool. Clearly I did. But
Something different.
um yeah, I kind of wish we hadn't done it that way. Live, learn, move on, and um we'll go on again. We'll do
Mhm.
another cruise, but now we don't need to do the fun one. We can relax on a other one.
I will say, so I know you kind of touched on it, and I'll come back to it. I feel like I keep doing that. Amanda did
1 second, I
mention
think.
so I know 2027 does not have these Marvel Day at Seas and Pixar Day at Seas. We can kind of guesstimate. And if you have to move the cruise to go to that specific, Marvel Day at Sea or Pixar, that is easy to do. That doesn't require us like, rebooking and all these things, and you lose out on, the locked in price. Like it might change a smidge, especially since you're changing dates most likely, but you don't have to like fully start over, as if you were just coming to the table to book a cruise. So at least you have that. But definitely kind of bank, end of January up until like the first week of March is when those two cruises happen.
So we are looking at itineraries 3 to 7 nights. Like I said, Bahama, Caribbean. Um, these are sailing out of Fort Lauderdale, Port Canaveral, and then Galveston. And then Mexico cruises are sailing out of San Diego. And then up the Pacific coast, I think, go out of uh, San Diego. And we have a couple coming out of San Juan.
Mhm.
Uh, the Dream sails out of San Juan for 4 nights and a 7 night in April. And then we have the Adventure in Singapore. If you wanted to do the Treasure, those are all 7 night cruises
Mhm.
out of Port Canaveral. I looked at that. I was like, maybe I could do a Treasure. And then I was like, 7 nights.
Yeah, I guess that's one
We
of
could
the
do 7 nights.
downsides
Yep,
to going on the treasure is it's exclusively,
7.
yeah.
I know we don't typically advertise us on here that way. But if you are looking for support for your cruise and are looking for a travel advisor, and we would be happy to help you, one of us. Um, so reach out. We This is something we like live and breathe, so we have the knowledge and help every step of the way, and just got off of our own, in March.
Yes.
And so know the lay of the land,
Yes.
like Brianna said, to where we pass that down to our client.
And we've both have been on at least 2 cruises on at least 2 different ships. So, it's not like this is our first time cruising. We have no idea what we're doing. Granted, it's only been 2, but between all of the training we've attended, physically going on the ships ourselves, we definitely feel very comfortable understanding the Disney brand and finding you the best, cruise option for you and your family, especially if it's your first time.
Absolutely. That is the reasons why you will see us, if you're following us on our socials, why we're like, you need to book early. These are the reasons that, and why we are so excited that they have finally announced these itineraries.
Yes. I feel like we've been asking each other, is today the day? Is Disney gonna drop the cruises? I feel like it's been in my head every day for the past 2 months. So it's very exciting to see that it's finally happening. But like you said, it's very funny that it's literally a week or two right before D23 when Disney drops announcement after announcement after announcement after like it's nonstop.
I'm guessing it was very intentional on Disney's part, and with now the anticipation and the backlog that they have built up for the past 2 months before releasing it, I think I would be curious to see the numbers, and I'm a numbers girly, on what an average booking amount of booking would be versus what this booking and the within the first week
For sure.
would be, but I don't think they give us those numbers.
I really think D23 will also announce at least another ship. Considering this, like I said, it's, I just feel like it's coming. I feel it.
I would agree with you, and I think I've heard teasers or other people making that same hypothesis. So
Yep.
make sure to subscribe, follow us on Instagram. We're both on TikTok, Facebook, but let us know what itinerary that you are excited for. And again, if you're looking for support for that cruise, don't hesitate to reach out. And we will see you next time.
That's it for this episode, Vacation Dreamers. We hope you picked up some tips, ideas, and a little extra magic for your next adventure. If you enjoyed hanging out with us, be sure to follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. You can also find us on Instagram, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts for even more travel tips and updates. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep planning, and we'll see you real soon.